Yeah, 以上 microphone testing 1 2 3. What's up, everybody? My name is not Keroppi. Today we're talking about the archer. The archer is new class, many skill. Use the bow and the arrow. Can do many damage, but very difficult class to play. So today I explain to you the skill, and I let you know how to play the archer. Alright guys, all jokes aside, today we do have some information about the archer, so we do know what specs they are. So there is the wind archer as well as the lightning spec archer. So the lightning spec is, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be lightning or ice because they just said that it's a light spec. And if we remember from the Warden, the light spec for the Warden was ice, so I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be ice or lightning for this archer class. However, we are sure that the other spec is wind. As for the playstyle, it's going to be very different between the two. For the wind archer, it's going to be very dynamic, very fast paced. You're probably going to need relatively low ping to play the wind spec, as it does require you to think on your feet, and you're probably going to be gated by attack speed. Because if we look at the history of all the wind classes, such as wind KFM, wind summoners, these two specs really did require low ping in order to get as many attacks as possible. So the same thing's most likely going to happen to the archer. So if you are a high ping player, you may need to start looking towards the light build. So the light build is either going to be ice or lightning. I don't know which one, as I said before. As for the light build, it's more about maintaining distance away from the enemy and shooting them from a safe distance, while the wind spec is more about getting into people's faces, moving around really fast and evading a lot of attacks. So you can see over here, this one is from the light build. You can see that they're shooting from a distance. Notice that the first two attacks are piercing attacks, and then there's a spread arrow. They do say that the multi-shot over here does register for each arrow hit. So technically, you can use this ability point blank range and apply all the arrows on one target, and it'll do a lot more damage. However, we don't know much about the movement abilities of the archer yet. We just know that the archer is very focused on mobility and that they can move side to side, so left and right, instead of our traditional classes such as the warlock and the gunner, which usually move forward and backwards. So what do I mean by forwards and backwards? It simply means that you have to look in a direction to hook forward for a gunner, as well as the ice warlocks for their distortion ability, while the archer on the other hand will look at the target and will be able to dash left or dash right while still maintaining that distance with the target. So over here is a very good example. When they're attacking the target over here, you'll notice that there's two circles on there, one on the left, one on the right, and when they move to that circle, they gain a buff called Detect Weakness, and when they have that buff, they deal additional damage to the target. So this gives the archer a very active playstyle, since you're constantly having to make split-second decisions, having to move to the left to get that extra damage or move to the right to get that extra damage, so on and so forth. So over here you can see a representation of dashing left and right instead of dashing forward and backwards, so they can sidestep like this and constantly attack while staying in range to hit the target. So this is a really cool skill. However, there is a downside to the archer. The downside is that the archer does not have a 5-hit iframe. So for most classes in the game, such as Blade Masters, we have our 5-point strike, gunners are able to use their deadlock, which is their X ability, summoners can use their best friend, which is their X ability. The archer does not have an ability that protects you for 5 hits. So they will be depending on a lot of party protects in order to stay alive for those 5-hit explosions. And another thing that the archer does not have is it does not have a set rotation. This is because the archer is a very situational class. So depending on what situation you're in, depending on what boss fight you're in, depending on what the current state of the party is, your playstyle will vary. And the reason they're doing this is to make it more dynamic, more interesting, and this class is definitely not recommended for beginners. The developer said that from the get-go, that this class is targeted towards veterans or experts of the game. And also the majority of their abilities do not lock on. So the majority of their attacks are going to be skill shots. So this is a very difficult class to learn. Again, I'm just putting that out there in case a lot of people are going to pick up the archer from day one. I just want you guys to know, to expect that this class is not going to be easy to play. play. It's going to be very similar to either the Soul Fighter or the Assassin in difficulty, maybe even harder than that. So for people who want to play a simple class, this is definitely not the class that you should be picking up, as it will be quite difficult to play. Mainly because it doesn't have a set rotation, so you can't go full brain dead while playing it. You have to be very active while playing the class, which a lot of people do want. As for PvP and in 6v6 Battlegrounds, this class is supposed to be the counter for stealth. So again, summoners who constantly go invisible to buy time, this class should destroy them, as well as assassins that constantly go stealth. This will also destroy them because they have certain abilities which allow them to see invisible units such as True Sight. However, it does have some requirements, such as the stealth unit has to step on a trap or has to get within a certain range before the archer can see the invisible unit. So just keep that in mind for those who do Battlegrounds, those who do PvP, that this class is supposed to counter the stealth players or the assassins and summoners in general. And that's about all the information we have for this class. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Do let me know in the comments if you liked the intro. I had a lot of fun making that. If this video helped, I would appreciate a subscribe, as it really does help out my channel. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome?